out of an infinite amount of ideas, I've been working on a couple lately that are a little more intense, and I decided to just take a step back and do something a little more positive and beautiful and really kind of honor the country and land that we are all a part of over here. And some of you all might be from other parts of the world, but us Americans, this is our home, and this is a map from the 1930s that I found in the Reddit Wimmelbilder page, which is a beautiful page with all kinds of Waldo-esque, really detailed artworks from people all over the world and throughout time. It's one of the great things about Reddit because there's a lot of bad and corrupt things, but this map is amazing, really detailed, and so I wanted to just take a look at it in more detail because it has a lot of historical, interesting things on it, interesting points and different stories that I'd never heard of. Some I have, and all around the place is written different little details about different areas, and it's really beautiful, really informative, and really creative. And I'm in the process of doing a map. I started about 5 years ago, and it's been on the back burner for a while, but of America the Great, I'm probably going to call it. And it's very detailed, and I lost the book of my research, and so I got to build it up again. But this is kind of inspiring me to get back into the zone here, so I might. But first, let's just enjoy this and take a look at some of the stuff that I found. I'll include the link in the artwork in my community page so you can check it out in more detail. It was designed by these guys. I'll look into it a little more, but 1929, 1930, awesome artwork. Let's check it out. So starting in the bottom right corner-ish area, we've got this Native American with his peace pipe, and then all kinds of different flags honoring the independence of Mexico, New England Confederacy, Declaration of Independence, Peace Paris, Dominion of Canada, and more. And down here we got 1584, Captains Philip Amadas and Arthur Barlow discover Roanoke Island and take possession for Queen Elizabeth. They have been commissioned by Sir William Raleigh to explore and colonize under the renewed charter of Sir Humphrey Gilbert, his half-brother, lately drowned on a similar expedition off Newfoundland. In 1585, 6 and 7 colonists went to Roanoke, but all ended in disaster. Nevertheless, Raleigh's enthusiasm led to more successful efforts in the founding of a permanent colony at Jamestown in 1607. Juan Ponce de Leon, governor of Puerto Rico, seeking the mythical Isle of Bimini and the fountain of eternal youth, comes upon Florida, Easter Day, 1512 or 1513. Wonder if Bimini is Aruba, because that sounds like an Aruban word. But either way, 1514, he sought to colonize, was wounded in an Indian attack, and died in Cuba. Pamphilo de Narvaez lost his life in an attempt to colonize Florida in 1527. Hernando de Soto landed there in 1539, and exploring widely northwards and westwards, eventually perished on the banks of the Mississippi in 1542. So I've always wondered what Florida was like during this time. I guarantee it was just like unbelievable. And all the art, all the natural people that were here before and a long time ago must have been perfect. Montezuma, emperor of the Aztecs, receives Hernando Cortez, 811-1519. Grijalvo discovered Mexico about 1511. Cortez, by dint of ruthless warfare, persistence, and courage, reached the Mexican capital and forced Montezuma's allegiance. This intelligent and unhappy prince, wounded by his own exasperated subjects and spent by his disgrace, died 36-1520. Cortez's conquering path was beset by faction, and he died in disfavor at Seville on February 12, 1547. Very interesting stuff. I love the symbols all over the place, and the artwork is awesome. Beautiful watercolor and ink. The army of Francisco Vasquez de Coronado reaches the Bison Plains of Missouri. Coronado set out from Spain on an expedition of 1510 to 1512 to seek the fabulous 7 cities of Cibolo. He found the Zuni pueblos, but no wealth. One of his captains, Garcia Lopez de Cardenas, marching from Zelny, discovered the Grand Canyon. Hernando de Alarcón, sent to cooperate with Coronado, whom he missed, ascended the Gulf of California to its head and navigated the river Colorado for some distance from its mouth. I like how they spell Colorado differently there. Sir Francis Drake is the first Englishman to sail around the world, November 1577 to September 1580. During the voyage, he cruises up the coast of California and, landing near San Francisco, takes possession of New Albion for Queen Elizabeth. He remains in harbor 5 weeks, June, July 1579, and careens the Golden Hind. Drake El Drac went into action against the Spaniard in West Indian and Mexican waters, 1567, 1568, 1572, and 1595. And these Aztec symbols on the side are amazing. But I wonder if that's who was in San Francisco before the big attack, the big earthquake that broke everything, and the ones that probably may have built the amazing structures that were there for the World's Fair. 1857, an Indian finds a curious pebble on the banks of the Thompson, BC. He takes it to McLean Factor at Kamloops. It is gold quartz. Previously, the 49ers had swept into California and Nevada. In 1896, or 8-something, the world rushed to Klondike. North Carolina in 1799 produced the earliest large find in the United States. Very interesting. All looking for gold, or they were just finding Tartarian treasures everywhere, or just different architecture and magic, ethereal technology still existing. Who knows? Here we go. Meta Incognita's last stand. Viljabnor Stephenson in the Canadian Arctic lives on the country and bespeaks the friendly North. A far cry from Franklin's tragedy. Franklin virtually discovered the Northwest Passage, and 'twas search for Franklin. Revealed 1849 to 1859, 7,000 meters of miles of northern coastline. Today, the North awaits prospector and grazier. So they have always wanted the North. And singeing King Philip's beard. If you didn't catch that, that's pretty interesting. Here we go over here. We got early 19th century. The HB Company's Oregon Brigade sets out from Fort Vancouver. These mountain brigades penetrated Idaho, Utah, Nevada, California, carrying on the tradition of the earlier Canadian coureurs des bois, whose intrepid journeys so often opened paths to the explorer. On the other side, it says, after the Louisiana Purchase, 1803, from Napoleon, the USA government sent Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark of U.S. Army in command of an expedition, 1804 to 1806, to explore the whole course of the Missouri, cross the Rockies, and reach the Pacific. Part of their commission was to explain the new position to the Indians and open avenues for trade. In the picture, they addressed the Chopinish through its interpreters. 1792 to 1793, Alexander Mackenzie of the Northwest Khoi, carrying on the torch of Slord la Vérendrye, accomplishes the first transcontinental journey north of Mexico. In the picture, an Indian of BC, British Columbia maybe, draws on bark a map to help him to the coast. In 1789, Mackenzie descended the R. Mackenzie to the Arctic Ocean. And here we go, May 1802. The Tlinkits destroy the Russian fort near the present site of Sitka. And I just wanted to show a little detour about the town of Sitka and these old pictures that I had on my computer. And it just shows something, so different, like what could be under that mountain. There was some time, I swear, when they buried everything. They covered it, or some form of earthly occurrence covered all these treasures. Because look at this picture as well. And there were different, just if there were different forts this size, castles and things going up in that area, what's to stop them from going even further north? These places, we know nothing about what is buried underneath us. We need to figure it out. All right, here we go. Back to the text in that same little bubble. The Russians were the first to explore trade and settle in Alaska. Expeditions under imperial patronage began in 1725. The Russian Nile or something was not distinguished by humanity. The Russian rule was not distinguished by humanity. The most famous governor was Alexander Baranov, 1747 to 1819. Russia sold Alaska to USA in 1867. Very interesting. That must have been wow, quite a time. And that was during the time when they were Tartarian in Russia. Pierre Esprit Radisson, coureur des bois, engages the interest of Prince Rupert in founding the Hudson Bay Company. First commission sailed 1668, company incorporated 1670. Very interesting there. And then all kinds of nice little animals, different symbols that are found throughout time and all kinds of things. I love this, volcanoes and fox farming on the Aleutian Islands. Then this part says, here came Vitus Bering, the Dane, to chart the Alaskan coast for Russia and to discover whether or not Asia joined America. He died of starvation on a desert island just off this map. There's so many things you can find in here. It's just an incredible wealth of knowledge in here. Here for the Christopher Columbus fans, the Genoese navigator under the patronage of the Spanish throne sailed west from Palos in Spain on August 3rd, 1492, bound for China and the Indies, and on October 11th through 12th approached his landfall now called Watling Island. On this voyage and on 3 subsequent voyages, 1493 to 6, 1498 to 9, 1502 to 4, he cruised among the islands of the Caribbean archipelago and along the coast of Honduras and the Parian Peninsula. He founded settlements in Haiti and spent a year, June 1503 to June 1504, in Jamaica. His ships aground in St. Anne's Bay. He suffered eclipse of popularity, but regained it, sacrificed his health and his labors, and died in temporary oblivion at Valladolid, 20 May 1506. Thus, in the words of the discoverer, were imbued the gates of the New World, or unbarred the gates of the New World. I love that. I wonder what really happened throughout that whole scenario. There's no way to really truly tell, but this is a very good insight over here, and this is cool. In 1534, Jacques Cartier, a Breton navigator commissioned by Francis I to seek a northwest passage to Cathay, sailed through the straits of Belle Isle and found himself in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. He raised across on the shores of the Bay Gaspé and claimed the land for France, 1535-1536. On his second and most famous voyage, he reached the present site of Montreal, and in the picture, he climbs Mount Royal. He made his third voyage, 1541-1542, and France made her first essay in colonization and fur trade under the lieutenant governorship of Roberval. So this is very interesting. This is how this is an interesting take on it all from the 1930s, and I love it. Giovanni Cabotta, 1497-1498, Italian navigator under English commission, sought the Northwest Passage and discovered North America. Very interesting name we haven't really heard before. Robert Peary on the North Pole, April 1909. Canadian Arctic lands, all the mysteries of Greenland and all these different islands in between. A lot to see there. I'll show more of that later. In 1607 and 1608, the English Muscovy Company employed Henry Hudson, English navigator, to seek passage over the North Pole to the east. They were voyages of much suffering and little result. In 1609, the Dutch East Company employed him to seek a passage anywhere round or through North America. The voyage resulted in his discovery of the Hudson River, which added to the explorations of Long S in Connecticut, Long Island maybe in Connecticut, by Adrian Block, 1613, founded the Dutch claim to colonize. 1610, Hudson, supported by English private enterprise, sailed on his last voyage. He discovered the polar current, passed through the straits into Hudson Bay, wintered there, and was cast adrift by his mutinous crew. June 1611. What an amazing history our world and continent has, and we only know a fraction of it. Samuel de Champlain, explorer and father of Canada, built his habitation and founds Quebec, 1608. Champlain came first to Canada in 1603 when schemes for fur trading and colonization were developing under Henry IV of France. 1604, the king granted a trading monopoly where developers Champlain accompanied de Monts' expedition, and with them came Baron de Poutrincourt and the gentlemen adventurers of France, who established themselves in Nova Scotia. Champlain turned to exploration and organization on the mainland and became, for all practical purposes, lieutenant governor. When Richelieu formed the Company of the Hundred Associates in 1614 to readjust Canadian affairs, Champlain was reappointed. Kirk took Quebec, 1629, but the Treaty of Saint-Germain lay restored in Port Royal to France, and there stated Champlain, whatever, can't read that. He served New France nobly till his death on Christmas Day in 1635. Bummer. And then Leif, son of Eric, led the Norse explorations from Labrador to Maine in circa 1001. It says, and I believe they've been exploring the north for a long time, and I bet there's colonies up there. I want to meet them really badly. 1641, Paul de Champmathieu, Sieur de Massonneau, leading a company of religious enthusiasts under the aegis of the Order of Sulpicians and granted land by the 100 Associates, founds Montreal in this enterprise and calls it Ville Marie de Montreal. Wow, very interesting. The 100 Associates is a kind of thing I've never heard of. Charles Saint Etienne de la Tour, inventor of the Acadian, Nova Scotian property of Biencourt, son of Baron de Poutrincourt of the gentlemen adventurers of France, who first colonized NS Nova Scotia in 1604, has been ousted by Sir William Alexander's Scots settlers. He scorns the offer of a British baronetcy brought from Charles I by his anglicized father and refuses to surrender his fort near Cape Sable. So I wonder if they just kept colonizing all these forts or if they built them, but I kind of think they probably just colonized them. 1687, Robert Cavalier Sieur de la Salle, a pioneer of Western exploration during the governorship of Ferdinand, is assassinated by traitors of his own party while attempting to found a colony in Texas. In April 1682, having traveled the course of the Mississippi, towing up the discoveries of Marquette and Joliet, he raised the standard of France over Louisiana. Sorry for butchering all of that, but March 1649, the martyrdom of the Jesuit fathers Jean de Brepé and Gabriel Lamont at the hands of the Iroquois while serving the Huron mission at St. Ignace. The Jesuits and Franciscans not only fought and suffered in the wilds, but became explorers. Notably, 1673, Father Marquette with Louis Joliet minor orders to Illinois and Mississippi, and Father Hennepin, who discovered Niagara in 1678. Peter Minuit, governor of New Netherland, performs his first important official act after his arrival, May 1626, by buying Manhattan from the Indians for 60 guilders worth of merchandise. See, that story is a very fascinating story that I am not totally sure I believe. There's something there. Something was in New York. The underground, the forts, all these things I don't think that were built during our time. I think ancients had something to do with Manhattan. Pilgrim Fathers, English nonconformists, given a charter by the Plymouth Coy, are obliged to land on London Coy territory. They watched the Mayflower sail on her homeward voyage April 1623 after supporting them for 110 days in Plymouth Harbor while they began their colony. First permanent settlement USA was 1607. So that's Plymouth right there, which is a place that I have been on those shores, and I had a magical experience there once. It was beautiful, beautiful place. Besides the nuclear power plant that's on the water, that's not that really beautiful. But here we go. William Penn the Quaker, having received a grant of land and settlement of crown debts owed to Admiral Penn, his late father, inaugurates his holy experiment. He arrives at Newcastle, Delaware, October 1682, and is met by Swedish colonists living within the bounds of his grant. So we've been in people's control for a very long time. It's what it matters. And whoever controlled the controllers, who knows? Treasure hunting. Sir John Hawkins died in his ship off Puerto Rico. Columbus's landfall, October 12th, in the Indies, Haiti. There's so much good stuff here. Kingston, Port Royal, Pirates headquarters. Here they divided their spoil on terms of Jamaican discipline. To the West Indies in the 1560s came Hawkins' slave trading from Guinea. So many interesting things. The Florida Keys. So many crazy things happen. This is pretty cool. The presence of Captain Geo Anson off Acapulco while on a world cruise during the Merchants' War between England and Spain prevented the Manila galleons sailing that year. He presently captured the galleon Cavangdongo in the Philippines, 1743, and found upon her the chart which exposed Spain's centuries-old secret of northern and central Pacific sailing. Yeah, people have been sailing these waters for a long time. They've been harvesting the American land for a long time. The whole Grand Canyon area looks to me like an ancient mining operation of some sort. On the coast over here, it's on the other side, it says, during the war between England and France and Spain, Captain Woodes Rogers, piloted by Dampier, cruising 1708 to 1711, captured 2 Manila gallons off this cape. He carried on board Robinson Crusoe, whom he had just rescued from Juan Hernandez, and Simon Maitland, the ancient mariner who shot the albatross, or the ancient mariner who shot the albatross. There's so many different stories on this map. I recommend checking it out. Check out my community section. I can't go over all of it because I'd be here forever. But I love how they created the map and they did all these different things. And this was partly my idea too. and I was going to include a lot more Tartarian things. I didn't even know about that when I started that drawing. So it's kind of a good thing that I stopped. And now when I do end up doing it, hopefully the next president will inspire me to make America the Great, the drawing, and it won't be someone that is going to ruin America. And then people will appreciate it when I do something beautiful that really honors this amazing place, because our country has some miracles all throughout it, some amazing things, incredible history, amazing treasures underground, ancient cultures, different watering holes, swimming zones, animals, beautiful things, achievements of unbelievable accomplishments, creativity, magic, architecture, everything. And so much of it was destroyed, but there's still so much you can see on Google Earth that's under the surface that is ancient, that we are untold about, that these hints at a civilization that was here a long time ago. And like I said, mining the place like crazy, copper, all these things, gold. I can't imagine what they've done, this place has done. This world's been around for a long time. Technology's been advanced. People have gone everywhere. The poles is forever a mystery. It would be good. There's some little insight around here into some areas about the polar activities, and you can see different places where, like the Bering Strait, where Sir Amundsen sailed through the straits, the first to navigate the whole course of a Northwest Passage, so they say, except that it could have been Vikings thousands of years ago doing this. Could be civilizations up there. It could be a whole thing that's been blocked off from us that we are not told about. There's so much we don't know. This map, no map that's around today is going to shed light on it fully, but one day we will discover what the Smithsonian and the people have been hiding us for years. The truth is probably almost impossible to fathom for us because we've been so conditioned to think otherwise, and now future generations or past generations of kids that were in school the last 12, 14 years have been receiving just a complete false education about America and about its perfection and its beauty. And maps like this really show and allow people to grasp how many great and amazing, wonderful things happen in each pretty much speck of the country. I mean, we're all used to our home, but you go outside your home area and there's places you would have never fathomed right in this country. And to desecrate that and think negatively about the country and have a government that hates this country is a terrible thing. We've had it for too long, and we need governments that love this country and love this world and love the animals, the innocent, the beautiful of this world, the things that really make Earth perfect, make Earth the best place possible, that make Earth magical for all ages. People everywhere can appreciate the animals. They can appreciate the achievements of past humans because it inspires them to see what they can do in their time instead of spending time online and basically living a life that ends up creating nothing in the end. It's time for people to get creative again, people to get really thinking, get really beautiful and stuff. And we should demand so much. We should demand so much more from our people in charge. But one thing we need to start demanding soon, when all this gets straightened out, all this other chaos, is the truth in our history and our information. And if people at the Smithsonian have this stuff, why would we teach something completely false to anyone? We need to get to the bottom of it all, discover it all, take planes to the poles, really figure out this planet, and we will in our time. The time is now. Bless you all.